Have you ever wondered what it would be like to meet Elon Musk in person? To ask him a question that's been on your mind? For a group of first responders, this once-in-a-lifetime opportunity came out of nowhere in their local McDonald's. But it's not just about meeting a celebrity. This story will make you think about the power of your own words and actions. How a simple question can lead to something extraordinary, and how we all have the potential to make a difference, no matter who we are. It was just another Tuesday at the local McDonald's. The place buzzed with the usual lunchtime crowd, but today the air crackled with a different energy. First responders filled the booths and tables, their uniforms a patchwork of blue, black, and khaki against the bright red and yellow decor. Firefighters swapped stories over Big Macs, their laughter punctuating the hum of conversation. Paramedics huddled around smartphones, scrolling through messages between bites of fries. Police officers stood in line, playfully debating whose turn it was to buy coffee for the station. The staff behind the counter moved with practiced efficiency, calling out order numbers and sliding trays across the counter. It was a scene that played out daily in this small town, a brief respite for those who spent their days saving lives and keeping the community safe. But in an instant, everything changed. The glass door swung open and a tall figure stepped inside. At first, no one paid much attention. Then, a hush fell over the room as heads turned and eyes widened. It couldn't be. Could it? Elon Musk, the billionaire entrepreneur, stood in the doorway, looking as surprised to be there as everyone else was to see him. He wore a simple black t-shirt and jeans, a stark contrast to the crisp uniforms surrounding him. For a moment, the restaurant froze. A firefighter's burger hovered halfway to his mouth. A police officer's coffee order trailed off mid-sentence. Even the sizzle of the grill seemed to pause in shock. Musk, seemingly oblivious to the stir he was causing, made his way to the counter. His casual stride and relaxed demeanor stood at odds with the growing tension in the room. Whispers started to ripple through the crowd. Is that really him? What's he doing here? Should we say something? As Musk approached the counter, the young cashier's eyes grew wide with recognition. She fumbled with the register, her hands shaking slightly as she prepared to take his order. "Hi there," Musk said, his voice unexpectedly warm and friendly. "Could I get a quarter-pounder with cheese, please? And a small fries." The cashier nodded, still too stunned to speak. Musk glanced at her name tag and added, "Thanks, Sarah." As Sarah punched in the order, the initial shock began to wear off. The buzz of conversation slowly returned, but now it was charged with excitement and disbelief. First responders leaned across tables, exchanging theories about why Elon Musk, of all people, was ordering lunch in their small-town McDonald's. Some reached for their phones, eager to capture this surreal moment. Others debated whether to approach him, weighing their curiosity against their professional decorum. As Musk waited for his order, he glanced around the room, taking in the sea of uniforms. A flicker of something, recognition, perhaps even admiration, crossed his face. For a brief moment, it seemed like he might say something. The anticipation in the room grew. What would happen next? Would Elon Musk, the man behind Tesla and SpaceX, simply take his burger and leave? Or was this the beginning of something more? As the anticipation in the room reached its peak, a brave firefighter decided it was time to shatter the silence. His question was about to turn this ordinary lunch break into something extraordinary, revealing a side of the tech mogul that caught everyone off guard. The initial shock of seeing Elon Musk in their local McDonald's had left the first responders stunned. Some stood frozen, burgers halfway to their mouths, while others whispered urgently to their colleagues. An EMT, eyes wide with disbelief, leaned over to his partner and breathed, "Wait, is that Elon Musk?" As Musk waited for his order, a firefighter mustered up the courage to approach. The room fell silent, all eyes on this unexpected encounter. With a mix of curiosity and nervousness, the firefighter cleared his throat and asked, "So what brings you to a McDonald's in the middle of nowhere?" Musk turned, a warm smile spreading across his face. His response was refreshingly down to earth. "Well, I've been traveling a lot lately, and sometimes you just want something simple," he said with a chuckle. "Plus, McDonald's makes a pretty good burger." The tension in the room eased almost instantly. Musk's casual demeanor and relatable answer seemed to break the invisible barrier between celebrity and everyday folk. Encouraged by this friendly exchange, other first responders began to gravitate towards the conversation. A paramedic, emboldened by the relaxed atmosphere, piped up, "Mr. Musk, I've always wondered, do you ever get drive-through in a Tesla?" This elicited a hearty laugh from Musk, who playfully mimed pressing buttons on an imaginary dashboard. As more joined in, the questions became more lighthearted. A police officer, with a mischievous glint in his eye, asked, "You ever thought about opening a Tesla drive-through? We'd save a ton on gas." Musk's eyes lit up with amusement. "Hey, you never know," he replied with a grin. "We're always looking at new ideas. Electric fast food joints might be the next big thing." The room filled with laughter. The earlier tension completely dissipated. First responders who had been hesitant to approach now found themselves drawn into the orbit of this unexpectedly approachable billionaire. They swapped jokes about rocket-powered ambulances and asked about the possibility of fire trucks on Mars. As the conversation flowed, the first responders began to see Musk not just as a famous tech mogul, but as a person with a sense of humor and a genuine interest in their work. Musk, in turn, seemed to relax more, his responses becoming more animated as he engaged with the group. The scene in the McDonald's had transformed. What started as a routine lunch break had become an extraordinary encounter filled with laughter, curiosity, and unexpected connections. As Musk's order was called, the room buzzed with a new energy. The first responders, initially starstruck, now felt a sense of camaraderie with their famous visitor. It was clear that this impromptu meeting would be a story they'd tell for years to come. The laughter died down as a thoughtful silence fell over the group. A firefighter's casual inquiry about Musk's work ethic was about to reveal a side of the tech mogul that few had ever seen. His answer would challenge everything these first responders thought they knew about success, passion, and the price of changing the world. As the conversation shifted to more serious topics, a paramedic stepped forward. Her eyes sparkled with curiosity as she asked, "Mr. Musk, how do you manage to juggle so many different ventures? Tesla, SpaceX, Neuralink. It seems like you're everywhere at once." Musk's expression changed, a mix of enthusiasm and thoughtfulness crossing his face. He leaned against the counter, burger forgotten for the moment. "You know, it's not about being everywhere at once," he began. "It's about finding what drives you and pouring your energy into it." The first responders listened intently, as Musk opened up about his various projects. He spoke of electric cars, revolutionizing transportation, of rockets, making space travel accessible, and of brain-computer interfaces, changing the future of medicine. His words painted vivid pictures of a world transformed by technology. As Musk explained his work, the paramedics' colleagues found themselves drawn in. A police officer nodded in agreement when Musk mentioned the potential for AI to assist in crime prevention. A firefighter's eyes widened at the mention of advanced materials that could improve protective gear. But it was Musk's reflection on work-life balance that really struck a chord. "I think if you're passionate about what you do, you find the energy," he said, his voice filled with conviction. The first responders exchanged glances, recognizing their own dedication mirrored in his words. A young EMT raised his hand hesitantly. "But how do you keep going when things get tough? When it feels like the odds are stacked against you?" Musk paused, considering the question. His response was measured but powerful. "I've always believed that technology can improve lives," he said. "When things get tough, I remind myself of the bigger picture. It's not just about the next quarter or the next year. It's about pushing humanity forward." The room fell silent as his words sank in. For these first responders, who faced life and death situations daily, Musk's perspective resonated deeply. They saw their own commitment to saving lives reflected in his drive to change the world. As the conversation continued, it began to shift towards the impact of technology on their own work. A veteran firefighter spoke up about the challenges of adapting to new equipment. Musk listened intently, his mind visibly working on potential solutions. The atmosphere in the McDonald's had transformed. What began as a chance encounter had become a meaningful exchange of ideas. The first responders found themselves offering insights from their experiences, while Musk absorbed their perspectives with genuine interest. As Musk's cold fries sat forgotten on the counter, the connection between the billionaire innovator and the local heroes deepened. They were no longer just star-struck fans meeting a celebrity. They were professionals, engaged in a dialogue about the future. A future they were all working to shape in their own ways. Just as the group thought they'd covered it all, a simple question from a firefighter changed everything. Suddenly, Elon Musk wasn't just talking about changing the world. He was face to face with those who save it every day. The realization hit him like a bolt of lightning, and what happened next left everyone in the room stunned. A seasoned firefighter, his uniform still bearing traces of soot from a recent call, stepped forward. His voice was steady, but his eyes betrayed a mix of curiosity and concern. "Mr. Musk," he began, "we've heard about your plans for Mars and electric cars. But how do you see your work impacting first responders like us?" The question hung in the air, heavy with expectation. Musk's usual rapid-fire response didn't come. Instead, he paused, his gaze sweeping across the room, as if truly seeing the first responders for the first time. The silence stretched, filled only by the distant sizzle of the grill and the soft hum of conversation from other patrons. Musk's expression shifted, his eyes softening as they moved from uniform to uniform. He saw the paramedic's stethoscope, the police officer's badge, the firefighter's well-worn boots. Each item told a story of long nights, dangerous situations, and lives saved. When Musk finally spoke, his voice was quieter, more reflective. You know, he said, I've been so, focused on the big picture, colonizing Mars, revolutionizing transportation, that I sometimes forget about the everyday heroes right here on Earth. He gestured around the room, his hand taking in the assembled first responders. Your work, it's immediate, it's vital. You're not just planning for the future, you're saving lives right now, today. The room fell silent as Musk continued, his words carrying a weight that surprised even him. The risks you face, the stress you're under, it's something I can only imagine. And yet, you do it every day. A paramedic in the corner wiped away a tear. A police officer nodded solemnly, his partner's hand resting supportively on his shoulder. The firefighter who had asked the question stood straighter, pride evident in his stance. Musk's voice grew stronger as he continued. I realize now that my work should be supporting yours. The technology we're developing, it should be making your job safer, more efficient. Because what you do, it's the foundation of everything else. The atmosphere in the room had transformed. Gone was the earlier excitement of meeting a celebrity. In its place was a profound sense of mutual respect and understanding. First responders who had moments ago been starstruck now stood tall, their importance affirmed by one of the world's most influential innovators. As Musk finished speaking, a ripple of emotion swept through the room. Nods of appreciation, quiet words of thanks, and more than a few misty eyes testified to the impact of his words. In that moment, the gap between billionaire visionary and small-town hero had vanished. They were united in their commitment to making the world better, safer, one day at a time. The connection forged in that McDonald's went beyond mere words. It was a recognition of shared purpose, of the vital interplay between innovation and everyday heroism. As the conversation continued, it was clear that this unexpected encounter had changed perspectives on both sides, laying the groundwork for collaborations and ideas that could reshape the future of first response. The atmosphere crackled with potential, but Musk wasn't finished yet. His fingers tapped furiously on his phone screen, the glow illuminating a face deep in thought. What decision was he making that would leave these first responders speechless? As Musk's thumb hovered over his phone, the room fell silent. The sizzle of burgers on the grill and the hum of the drink machines seemed to fade away. Every eye was fixed on the tech mogul, wondering what could be so urgent that it demanded his attention in this moment of connection. Musk's brow furrowed as he typed, his expression a mix of concentration and something else, determination, perhaps. The first responders exchanged glances, their curiosity palpable. A young paramedic whispered to her partner, "What do you think he's doing?" Seconds stretched into minutes. The tension in the room grew with each passing moment. A firefighter shifted his weight from one foot to the other, his keys jingling softly in his pocket. A police officer absent-mindedly adjusted her badge, the metal catching the fluorescent light. Finally, Musk looked up from his phone. His eyes scanned the room, taking in the faces of the men and women who put their lives on the line every day. He took a deep breath, and in that moment, everything changed. "I've just made a decision," Musk announced, his voice clear and steady. "I'm going to make a donation. It's enough to cover brand new equipment for all the fire stations and police departments in the entire area." The room erupted in gasps and exclamations of disbelief. A paramedic's coffee cup clattered to the floor, spilling unnoticed. A firefighter's jaw dropped, his half-eaten burger forgotten in his hand. Musk continued, his words painting a picture of the impact this donation would have. New fire trucks with advanced technology, cutting-edge medical equipment for ambulances, the latest in communication devices for police officers. Whatever you need to do your jobs more effectively and safely. The initial shock gave way to a wave of emotion. Tears welled up in the eyes of a veteran officer. A young EMT covered her mouth with her hands, overwhelmed by the magnitude of the gesture. Musk's unexpected generosity wasn't just about the money. It was a recognition of their work, a tangible sign that someone with the power to make a real difference, saw and valued their sacrifices. As the reality of Musk's announcement sank in, the room transformed. Handshakes turned into hugs. Tears of joy were shared between partners who had faced danger together countless times. The air filled with a mix of laughter, sniffles, and heartfelt words of gratitude. A seasoned firefighter stepped forward, his voice thick with emotion. "Mr. Musk, you have no idea what this means to us. This equipment, it's going to save lives, not just ours, but the people we serve every day." Musk nodded, a small smile on his face. What had started as a casual lunch stop had turned into something profound, a moment of connection, recognition, and unexpected generosity that would ripple through the community for years to come. Musk's donation had unleashed a tidal wave of emotion in the McDonald's. The room, once filled with casual chatter and the sizzle of burgers, now echoed with gasps, cheers, and even a few sobs. A veteran firefighter, his weathered face etched with years of service, wiped away a tear. "I never thought I'd see the day," he murmured, his voice thick with gratitude. Across the room, a young paramedic hugged her partner, both laughing and crying at the same time. "Can you believe it?" she kept saying, her eyes shining with disbelief and joy. "We're going to have the best equipment out there. We can help so many more people now." A police officer, usually stoic and reserved, approached Musk with an outstretched hand. "Mr. Musk," he began, his voice wavering slightly, "what you've done here today, it's going to save lives. Not just ours, but the people we serve. Thank you doesn't even begin to cover it." Musk seemed almost taken aback by the intensity of their reactions. He shifted his weight, looking a bit uncomfortable with the outpouring of gratitude. "It's really not that big of a deal," he said, his voice soft. "You're the ones out there every day, putting your lives on the line. This is the least I can do." But his humble response only seemed to deepen the first responders' appreciation. A paramedic stepped forward, her eyes brimming with tears. "Mr. Musk, you don't understand. This equipment, it's not just gear. It's hope. It's knowing we have the tools we need to make a difference." The atmosphere in the room had completely transformed. Gone was the initial starstruck awe. In its place was a profound sense of connection and mutual respect. First responders who had been hesitant to approach Musk earlier now gathered around him, sharing stories of difficult calls and lives saved. Musk listened intently, his expression growing more thoughtful with each tale. "You know," he said during a lull in the conversation, "I spend a lot of time thinking about the future, but you're the ones making sure we have a future to look forward to. The work you do, it's the foundation of everything else." His words seemed to resonate deeply with the group. A firefighter nodded solemnly. "It's not always easy," he admitted. "There are days when the weight of it all feels too heavy. But moments like this, knowing that people see and value what we do, it makes all the difference. As the impromptu gathering began to disperse, the sense of mutual admiration was palpable. Musk shook hands with each first responder, making eye contact and thanking them personally for their service. The first responders, in turn, expressed their gratitude not just for the donation, but for the recognition of their work. In that moment, the gap between billionaire innovator and small-town hero had vanished. They were united by a shared commitment to making the world a better place, one life saved at a time. As Musk prepared to leave, the atmosphere in the McDonald's was charged with a new energy, one of hope, gratitude, and the knowledge that sometimes unexpected encounters can change everything. As Musk prepared to leave, the first responders gathered around him, eager for one last moment with the tech mogul who had suddenly become their unexpected benefactor. Hands reached out, not just to shake his, but to share stories that had been bottled up for years. A weathered firefighter stepped forward, his eyes misty with emotion. "Mr. Musk," he began, his voice gruff but warm. 20 years ago, I pulled a little girl from a burning building. I still remember her face. With this new equipment, we'll save even more lives. You've given us hope." Musk listened intently, his expression softening with each tale. A young paramedic shared how she'd always dreamed of more advanced medical gear, but budget constraints made it seem impossible. Now that dream was becoming a reality. Musk nodded, asking questions about their daily challenges and the impact of the new equipment. As the stories flowed, it became clear that this encounter had changed more than just the first responders' equipment inventory. Perspectives shifted on both sides. The first responders saw Musk not as an untouchable billionaire, but as someone who genuinely cared about their work. Musk, in turn, gained a deeper appreciation for the everyday heroes who keep communities safe. "You know," Musk said, addressing the group, "I came here for a quick burger, but I'm leaving with so much more. Your stories, your dedication, it's truly inspiring. It reminds me why we push technology forward. It's not just about rockets or electric cars. It's about making a real difference in people's lives." The atmosphere in the room was electric. Gone was the initial awkwardness of celebrity meeting small-town heroes. In its place was a sense of shared purpose and mutual respect. As Musk made his way to the door, the first responders formed an impromptu honor guard, lining up to bid him farewell. Musk paused at the threshold, turning back to the group. "Keep doing what you're doing," he said, his voice filled with genuine admiration. "You're the real heroes. And who knows, maybe next time I'm in town, I'll stop by the station instead of McDonald's." Laughter rippled through the group, but there was no mistaking the impact of his words. As the door closed behind him, the first responders looked at each other, still processing what had just happened. This wasn't just a celebrity sighting or a generous donation. It was a moment that would be etched in their memories forever. In the days and weeks that followed, the story of Elon Musk's visit spread through the town like wildfire. But it wasn't just about the money or the equipment. It was about recognition, about a community feeling seen and valued. The local fire station and police department became points of pride, symbols of what can happen when innovation meets everyday heroism. For Musk, the impact was equally profound. In his next public appearance, he spoke about the importance of first responders and the need for technology to support their work. It was clear that his unexpected lunch stop had left a lasting impression, shaping his vision for the future in ways no one could have predicted. We often think of life-changing moments happening in boardrooms or on stages. But what if the most profound connections occur over greasy burgers and fries? As news of Musk's McDonald's visit rippled outward, it challenged everything we thought we knew about the power of everyday interactions. What started as a routine lunch stop for Elon Musk turned into a pivotal moment that no one saw coming. The billionaire entrepreneur walked into that small-town McDonald's expecting nothing more than a quick meal. Instead, he found himself face-to-face with the very people who keep our communities safe every day. It wasn't just the generous donation that made this encounter extraordinary. It was the genuine connection that formed between Musk and the first responders. As they shared stories and laughter, the walls between celebrity and everyday hero crumbled. Musk listened intently to their experiences, his eyes opening to the realities of their demanding jobs. This unexpected meeting revealed a side of Elon Musk that few had seen before. Gone was the polished tech mogul, replaced by a man genuinely moved by the dedication of these local heroes. His impromptu donation wasn't just about money. It was a heartfelt gesture of recognition and support. The impact of this encounter is likely to ripple far beyond that McDonald's. For the first responders, it wasn't just about new equipment. It was about feeling seen and valued. The boost to morale and the sense of renewed purpose could fuel their efforts for years to come. As for Musk, this experience could shape his future innovations. Hearing firsthand about the challenges faced by first responders might inspire new technologies or adaptations of existing ones. His perspective on the immediate, life-saving impact of technology was visibly shifted. What happened in that McDonald's serves as a powerful reminder of the connections that can form in the most unexpected places. It shows us that behind the headlines and public personas, we're all human, capable of touching each other's lives in profound ways. This encounter challenges us to look at our everyday interactions differently. How many opportunities for connection do we miss simply because we're not paying attention? What if the person behind you in line at the coffee shop has a story that could change your life? As we reflect on this extraordinary meeting between a tech billionaire and small-town heroes, we're left with a thought-provoking question. What unexpected encounters might be waiting for us, ready to reshape our understanding of the world and our place in it? As the McDonald's doors closed behind Elon Musk, the impact of that unexpected encounter lingered in the air. What began as a simple lunch stop transformed into a moment of genuine connection, bridging the gap between a tech billionaire and small-town heroes. It proved that extraordinary things can happen in the most ordinary places, reminding us of the power of human connection. This story challenges us to look beyond titles and uniforms, to see the person behind the badge or the headline. It urges us to appreciate the first responders in our own communities, those everyday heroes who rush towards danger while others flee. Their dedication deserves more than a passing nod. It calls for our active support and gratitude. As we reflect on this unlikely meeting, we're left wondering, what small gesture could we make today that might spark a chain reaction of kindness? How might our next casual interaction lead to something truly remarkable?